Yeah, let's talk about the Sony's overheating issues because I think people need to understand they're probably going to continue to overheat because they're so small. Um, and it's not just that they're so small, it has to do with the sensor size as well. Because if you look at the XT2, it's around the same size, smaller sensor, but one thing that gets not mentioned is that if you don't have this battery grip here, they only allow it to go 20 minutes. So that's to save the sensor and the camera from overheating. Sony allows you to basically override that, and they let you go longer if you want. And so I don't think that you can really blame the camera for that. I mean, I think you have to blame the company first because Sony wanted to stick with the small bodies, okay? And it's going to be a problem with that until they make them larger for their full frame cameras. There's just not enough heat dissipation. Now, what the Fujifilm does is they don't allow it. They only allow it for 20 minutes if you don't have the battery grip. With the battery grip, it's 30 minutes. And the reason why is because with the battery grip, it drains from all three, not just one. Whereas with the Sony cameras, it's only draining from one, which creates more heat. So I just wanted to address that because, and you look at the GH5, and yeah, they can use one battery. It's just a lot bigger. It has a lot more heat dissipation in that thing. And it's a smaller sensor, and that does make a difference. You're talking about full frame cameras in tiny bodies and hoping to get great heat dissipation. It's not going to happen. The camera's going to heat up. However, I would say too, if you're looking at an A9 for professional videography, I would say look somewhere else. They've already basically said that they're not interested in high-end video on this camera when they took out the S-Log. So if you want that and you want full frame, wait for the A9S or something because it's not going to happen on this. It's just not. I wouldn't recommend it for that, but it's the same as a 1DX Mark II or a D5. I wouldn't recommend those for video cameras either. I don't think you're going to see too many people buying them for that reason either. But people expect more of Sony because they've done a lot with videography. But I would just say be cautious about that because it probably will overheat at some point. I haven't done any testing myself. I'm a photographer, not a videographer. So I primarily just shoot stills. So it's not really going to affect me. It's not an issue I have. I've never even shot video with this. I think I did once for like a minute or two. It's just not what I do. But if you're wanting to shoot full-time video right now and you want mirrorless, you want all the bells and whistles, get a GH5. If you want to shoot a DSLR, you're probably going to be disappointed because Nikon doesn't offer very good focus tracking or anything with their 4K cameras, and they all are at crops. And that's another thing too. This has the ability to not crop that sensor. So, I mean, I believe that's another reason why it overheats is because of all that information coming off the full sensor. It creates a lot of heat. These cameras are small. They're about the same as the A7 bodies, so you're not going to get much more heat dissipation. The only difference would be the battery size, and that really doesn't make a difference when it's still drawing a ton of power. So I would just warn people against that, and if you want to shoot video, A7S2 right now, or GH5, you shoot high-end video. And that's what that's why Sony took S-Log out of this. They want you to shoot on their upcoming A9S. They don't want you to shoot on this. I guarantee it. Because the low light on this is so good that it would actually compete with the A9S. Or that it would compete with the A7S2. It really would. it is that good in low light. So I believe that's why they left that out. But yeah, I just wouldn't recommend it for anybody that shoots video primarily. It doesn't, it's not what it's really made for. Can it do some clips? Yeah, I'm sure it can. Have I tested it? No. I'm probably not gonna, realistically. But I can base it off of all the research that I do on these cameras. I do tons and tons of research through the good, the bad, and I make my decisions on that. That's how I end up with my cameras. I ended up with a Fuji system because I did tons of research and I wanted that system. Because I was primarily a photographer at the time, so the video didn't make a difference to me. However, I do like live view when I shoot. That is a big deal to me. Being able to see the picture when you take it, before you take it, in my opinion, is a huge advantage. So anyway, I'm kind of getting off track. Basically, if you shoot video and you want to shoot it full time on an A9, I think you're going to be disappointed. I think you're going to be disappointed until Sony makes the bodies a little larger to get some of that heat dissipation. And I know that one of the Sony people, quoted that, what are we going to do? Put air in, make the body bigger and put air in it. And I was just thinking, you make it bigger for better heat dissipation and without adding much weight at all. So, I mean, that's a thought. I still like these cameras, the way that they're sized, because I think overall, people complain about lenses being big on a smaller body. You're holding the camera with the lens anyway. So, regardless of that, I mean, and then if you shoot with a small lens, you're getting the advantage of the smaller body. So, just some thoughts. I just kind of wanted to talk about that because I saw some things online with the overheating, and I'm not surprised right now. But I do think that if Sony doesn't fix the problem for something like an A9S, where it's going to be primarily a video camera, I think they're going to deal with a lot of problems, rightfully so. And I'm a big supporter of Sony, but I really believe that they should fix that. However, I don't think it's a primary reason to use an A9 anyways for videography, nor do I think anybody would use a D5 or 1DX Mark II for videography primarily. So that's my argument against that. I mean, that's what it's up against. That's what it's going against. And so those cameras don't have full sensor readout, and they're much bigger. Let's face it, they're much bigger. They have better heat dissipation. So, yeah, that's about it. That's all I got on my thoughts on that. I just wanted to tell about that because I think people are just going to be disappointed if they get this primarily for videography, for sure. Can it do great video? I'm sure it can, absolutely. With the full sensor readout and everything, and the low light performance is stellar. For 24 megapixels, it's the best 24 megapixel sensor I've ever had in my life. But yeah, that's all I got. Have a good day.